And maybe this is a safer route to make people still trust in the insurance. If you get what I mean, right? Like just to save face.
I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. But when you look at the structures of those companies, they have a lot of things going for them. So they can always access finance, because then they can always make the claim of, we still have X and X amount of customers,
Yes.
which means that we can take debt on future premiums as well. That's one. See, when the California fire was going to happen, before it happened, early last year or mid last year or something, or was it even some insurance companies maybe this year started cancelling the insurance of some of the people living in some of those areas. Basically said, we cannot provide you insurance service anymore. And these people tried to get other insurances, but insurance companies just said, nah, we're not doing it. Now, the government stepped in with something that wasn't a comprehensive insurance. I forgot the name now, fair something. But basically, insurance companies, they were able to pull out. When it became quite rampant that the insurance companies were doing that, the government reacted by putting a moratorium that you cannot cancel anyone's contract in that area until 2026. But some insurance companies already got the lock. They moved fast enough to cancel. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a really, really sad situation. And yeah, I think it just summarizes America's definition of capitalism. I mean, I see this happening a lot in a lot of other industries and things. Yeah, this is no different at all, man. This is just the same. Like, it's all about the money. Every American and any human living in the United States is a product. They don't see you as a person. You are just another product. And that's really sad. And for them to pull out, yeah, it shows that they are not even in the business of trying to make it work, but to get as much money off you as possible, which is the saddest part. Because you could also do capitalism and think about the people and their well-being and their happiness and better life and everything. But sadly, I haven't seen a lot of places where that is by design what they want in the US.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest shout of it, because it just says, well, that's the insurance business. This is capitalism at its core. They calculated their risk. They saw that it wasn't profitable for them to remain in that area, and they got the opportunity to pull out, even though they have made money from the people living in those areas for years and years, basically just collecting insurance premium. And when it was close to the time where, danger is actually imminent, they pulled out. So some people ask the question, well, why didn't they just increase the insurance premium? Right?
Yeah.
But the reason they couldn't do that was because there are also strict rules around increasing insurance premiums. You can, but you have to do it gradually, and this is what they do all over the world. And the reason I say this is because it's clear that the government are trying to put some rules and stuff, and incidences have to happen for government to realize that there's another loophole that the capitalist system is able to exploit. And then they have to fix that as well. So basically, when the cancellations were happening, they had to come up with the moratorium. But, minus what the government could potentially do, which it seems, they're trying their best somehow to create a balance. But minus that, at what point are companies supposed to be held accountable for more than just profitability or shareholder returns? Because the idea of insurance, someone put it in a good way that, well, you collect money from a large pool of people so that when the tiny or one little groups of people are in trouble, the collection from the large pool can support. Yeah. Right? Of course, the insurance system completely fails if every one of us will be in trouble at the same time. Yeah. But the idea is we pool to fund for the minorities that have issues at particular times. But insurance now, for maximum profitability, they have some level of localization to their math, which meant that because New Yorkers continue to pay insurance to this big insurance company that also insures people in California, it doesn't matter. They will assess California's risk on its own, determine what the premium should be for that region, or determine if it's profitable or not, if they should pull out.
Yeah.
So at what is the entire point of insurance if it fails on that little mandate of pulling from the bigger group to cater for the minorities when issues occur?
I mean, I feel like looking at it from another perspective, right? Like maybe economically, this even makes more sense for the government itself rather than having them fail. I think that would definitely create a bigger problem if somehow the whole loss of this whole situation, now imagine like Progressive or which State Farm, for example, because I think these are the two guys that pulled out also. I know State Farm pulled out, I'm not sure if Progressive pulled out. If they are not able to then cover it, which I don't know what they are worth, they should be worth a lot, thinking they've been paying you guys money for like for decades, right? But imagine a situation where now they can't come up with the money. I think the whole insurance industry would just to bust. And maybe this is a safer route to make people still trust in the insurance. If you get what I mean, right? Like just to save face.
I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. But when you look at the structures of those companies, they have a lot of things going for them. So they can always access finance, because then they can always make the claim of, we still have X and X amount of customers, which means that we can take debt on future premiums as well. That's one. And second thing is that they don't just take premium. They are one of the biggest investors in the world. Insurance companies take your premium and they make a treasury investment decision. How much should we keep to be able to respond to situations, and how much can we invest to make more and more? What they're simply doing here is they're simply just focusing on profit. It might be that the damages this time around might put them in a loss for the next 2 or 3 years. But there's enough money in the world that they will be able to finance somehow covering the damages for their own clients. They are just not willing to go into any negative loss. So imagine in a year where we have damages, I was reading that damages have probably gone up to about $250 billion when you think about the businesses as well that has been affected. So in a year, and maybe out of this $250 billion, insurance might be covering about $150 billion. So in a year where damages rose that high, when you look at the system and insurance companies are reporting billions of dollars in profit, that's a problem to it. Like, it should be fine if in a year like that,
they make loss.
The records of the insurance businesses
Exactly.
But this is not something they're happy with, because, well, shareholders are all over the world anyways, and those ones, they don't. You understand? The stock market has created a situation where the business doesn't matter. Whether it makes money or not, our stock price must be good. And if they record the loss, it might impact the stock price.
Hence, people become products. And I mean, we have been products, right? But at least take care of your products, right? Look out for them.